Welcome to Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today and we have another show lined up for y'all. Today, we have a special guest joining us, Chancellor K. Jackson. He is a Georgia native. Man, he has a powerful story. If you know about writing, don't change anything. You need to dive into this conversation about to have, because his story, it is so complex. It's going overseas and back to home is crazy. But first, let me tell you a little bit about it. After earning his degree in communication and media studies from Stetson University and playing 9 years of football across high school and college, he took his talents up and abroad and went to China. I gotta know why. I gotta find out what he did, but it gets even crazier. He had a crazy experience where he ended up getting detainment for 14 days in Beijing, and that completely altered his life. He decided to write about it, and that little project made a big splash. It caused him to hit a #1 on Amazon over 15 times in multiple genres, and he's here to tell us all the secret sauce. I mean, you talking about a roller coaster story. We're about to cut to the chase and welcome our guest, Chancellor. How you doing, man? I know I had to speed up, but man, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, blessings and balance. Appreciate you for having me, family. Big shout out to you. Everybody that's tuning in right now, big shout out to y'all, man. Y'all the real MVPs, for sure.
Well, I appreciate you being on here. I know I kind of gave the 30-second summary, but take us back to life. What it was like? What caused you to want to go abroad to China? And tell us what kind of got you there.
Yeah, so like you touched on, I played football, high school and college, and I identified as and embodied a student athlete and football player to the fullest. So once that came to an end, just the last game of my career, it's just like I was prepared for it, but as far as just mentally and emotionally, but I was still like, okay, what's next? Every athlete goes through this. Once their sport comes to an end, it's crossword of just having to re-identify yourself all over again and relearn yourself. So I knew it was going to be a process. It was going to be a journey. But I was up for the challenge. I was looking forward to it because I'm like, I know it's more out into the world outside from just football. But I got to put myself out there and figure it out. So it started off with me just applying for jobs immediately. And it was mainly corporate positions I was applying for. And I'm landing interviews. I'm talking about some of these interviews I'm getting flown out for, put up in hotels, getting cars rented out to me, the whole nine. But I couldn't seem to land a position. And I did this process for about 8 months. So I had graduated. I had moved back home to Georgia. And I'm just like, bro, what is going on? I've done everything, quote unquote, the textbook the right way. But I still keep ending up at the short end of the stick. But it's like, we've been here before, especially when we was trying to find a college to play at. So just continue to put yourself out there. You're going to catch something eventually. Somebody going to say yes. You know what I'm saying? We just need one person to bet on us. Let's reapproach this job searching thing, because clearly corporate might not be for us. You know what I'm saying? We've been time and time again. We ain't had no success with that. Let's switch it up. What are you good at doing? Working with people, talking with people. So I just started looking at positions, slick gear towards that. And that's when I came across a job posting of teaching English to kids in China. And it sounded extravagant. I qualified for it as far as just the requirements. And all I had to do was submit a resume. So I'm like, that's easy. Boom, that's 2 clicks of a button. I go on about my job search and don't think much of it. Hear back from them. We set up an interview, do the interview. And then a few days passed, they hit me back. It's like, hey, we want to move forward with you as a candidate. So it's like, dang, after 8 months of applying for jobs and being told no, the first job to tell me yes is on the other side of the world. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we finna do. Best believe. So it was a 3-month long process after I got hired, just to get my visa. So I got hired in like July of 2018. I didn't land in China until October 10th, 2018. And China by far was the best experience I've ever had in my life. I highly recommend, of course, everybody to travel abroad. But if you could live abroad someplace, I highly recommend it. It ain't got to be long either. You know what I'm saying? Just go someplace different and settle in there for a little bit. You'll learn so much about yourself and just about life. It's very, very enlightening. So, yeah, China was lit. And then on April 4th, 2019, things went left. Things went left. It's a day off for me. I'm getting ready to head to a team builder event that my company's hosting. And before I go to the event, I'm a pregame. So I'm in the apartment by myself, drinking some Chinese wine coolers, smoking a little cannabis, a little pipe. I get done, get dressed, make sure I got everything I need before I walk out the door, and I hear a knock. Curious to see who it is, look through the people, and there stood 3 officers from the Beijing police, randomly. So I'm spooked at this point, scramble, put everything up, open the door, they walk in, question me about drugs. I'm sitting here playing fool, like, I don't know what they talking about. I'm from Atlanta. You live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So I'm sitting there trying to finesse the situation, and then they pulled out a drug test, and drug test me right there on the spot. And right then and there, I was like, oh, yeah, it's over with. It's over with. Do the drug test, the results came back instantly. Now the cuffs, of course I failed the drug test, now the cuffs are on me. All forms of communication cease to exist at this point. Bounce around from precinct to precinct before I'm eventually taken to the jail where I'm housed, and I'm locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 15 men to one cell, 9 wooden beds, 3 soups a day, and all I had was 1 plastic bowl and 1 plastic spoon. Nothing was explained to me as far as how this process works, what my specific charges are, how long I'm going to be here. Nobody knows I'm in here, and right now I'm sitting in this cell with 14 other Chinese men, none of which I can speak to. So it really ain't looking too good right about now. But one, I have to hold myself accountable. I consciously knew what I was doing, and I knew the repercussions from that. So now that things have went left, and here we are, hey, I ain't got nobody to point the finger at but me. So I got however this thing finna play out, I got to take it to the chin. I don't know what I'm gonna have to go through, but I know when it's all said and done, my mental's still gonna be intact, my spirit's still gonna be intact. I'm still gonna be me when it's all said and done, but I know it's gonna be a battle for sure. So I just remember telling myself to take note of every minor detail because it's going to be a great story to tell once you're out of this predicament, for sure.
When you think back to how you had to process everything, I mean, just painting the picture, imagining you are in a cell and people don't speak your language. You don't speak their language. So what was it like to just stay solid while you are going through the whole process of just doing the time? Because I mean, I can't imagine what it'd be like to no one could even speak your language. So what was that like for you?
It's just like, because this is the first 3 days. First 3 days I was the only foreigner, only English speaker in the cell. So it was just a lot of time to reflect. We often sit back and reflect about our day, our week, the month we've had, maybe the year, or our entire life journey. But how much time do we allow ourselves to sit there and reflect? 5 minutes, if that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 10 minutes. Not that long. I had a full 72 hours to sit down and just reflect on everything. Everything. 72 hours is a long time. I mean, I'm pretty much in solitude, even though I got a bunch of people around me. I just can't communicate with nobody, so I'm left to my own devices. So it was just a lot of time to soul search and just figure out what it is that I need to change. You know what I'm saying? And especially moving forward, especially once we get out of here, what we're going to do just to, you know what I'm saying, bounce back from falling on our face. So it was just a lot of time to just sit back and reflect, truly. Some good time. And we all was allowed that same amount of time, essentially, once COVID popped off. You know what I'm saying? That was our time to really just sit back and reevaluate, reflect, and reapproach this thing we call life. Whether you took advantage of it or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's essentially what it was, for sure.
During the 14-day detainment, I mean, were you given what kind of food, if any, good food, if there was anything available? What was that whole process like? Were you able to leave, or did they deliver food to you, or water, or anything? How was that for you?
Yeah, we locked up 24 hours a day, so we don't leave the cell whatsoever. No rec time, none of that. They bring the food by the cell 3 times a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's every meal is some form of soup, vegetable soup, tofu soup. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much just hot water with vegetables in it and some big old bread rolls. That was pretty much the base of every meal. Some form of soup and bread.
Once again, listen on Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Chancellor K. Jackson, author of 14 Days in Beijing. man, this story doesn't stop there, because obviously he became a best-time seller on Amazon. Also, he is an educator and a coach, and he is an entrepreneur. So let's just paint that picture, because people might join in and be like, oh, what am I listening to? Well, you keep on listening. Pick up from when it approaches the end. What was it like? What was the process of them telling you what's going to happen next? And when did you say it was time to start putting the book together?
So one day they just called me to come on. Literally, they just called me to come on. So I'm here to tell y'all I did 14 days. And even when they called me to, you know what I'm saying, start the release process, it still wasn't a whole lot of explanation as far as, okay, what's finna happen next. You know what I'm saying? None of that. I'm still just, I don't know what's finna go on, but I'm just following instructions. You know what I'm saying? So it took me straight to my apartment to pack up the rest of my belongings. And then it took me straight to the airport, where I was deported from the country in like less than like 4 or 5 hours of being released from the jail. So they got me up out of there. But nothing in this legality wise followed me, you know what I'm saying, with the entire situation. And honestly, if I didn't write this book, nobody would have known this had happened to me. So yeah, it doesn't affect me anywhere except for China. They placed me on a 5-year ban, but the ban ended last year in 2024. So I am eligible to go back to China if I, you know what I'm saying, if I'm accepted. But am I going to go out my way to do all of that? Absolutely not. I got a full experience in China, good, bad. But I would, if an opportunity presented itself, I would go back, because that'll just bring everything full circle. And I would document the trip just as far as just content to promote the book even further. But yeah, that's pretty much what that process was. So once I got back to America, I'm like, all right, whew, we made it back. We're back on American soil. All right. First thing first, I got to figure out how to get my money back, because all my money is in the bank in China. So I'm like, I got to figure out how to get all that bread transferred back over to an account here in America. And there was a process trying to figure all that out. But I eventually got it figured out. And then it was just like, okay, I know I can continue to work in education, but it's like April, halfway through April at this point. The school year is basically over with. So I know I'm gonna have to wait at least till the following school year before any opportunities present themselves. So I got a few months to just sit back and soul search some more, and, you know what I'm saying, see whatever else I can get into, or whatever might start just from me being around my peers and stuff like that. But it wasn't until one day I was with one of my good friends, DeMarco Reddins. He was a traditionally published author before we graduated high school in 2014. So he was the one that put the bug in me, like, hey, bro, you ain't think about writing a book about the experience? I was like, boy, good idea. Because I wanted to do something with the story. I just had no clue how I wanted to go about sharing it. So when he said write a book about it, I was like, man, that's it right there. I don't even know where to start, but that's it right there. He took my phone, went to my notes section, left me a little outline. And I just started filling the outline in. And by me doing that, I caught a flow for how I wanted to write the rest of the story. So moved into a Google Doc to type it up. Took me about 4 months to write the story. And then after that, just spent the next 6 months just getting it ready for publishing. And on April 4th, 2020, the very next calendar year, when I got locked, because I got locked up in China on April 4th, 2019. So on April 4th, 2020, I released the very first version of 14 Days Beijing. I was ranked the #1 new bestseller in 3 different genres upon debut. So, and after that, it was just a snowball effect of, you know what I'm saying, promoting that and, you know what I'm saying, writing more books. So now we're 6 books in. 4 I've actually written, 2 that I've helped publish. Started my publishing company in 2021. And now we coach people through the writing and publishing process. So yeah, it's been a marathon. It's been a journey, but it took all of that for us to be exactly where we're at and doing what we're doing. So
what's very interesting about the whole story is that situation in China, it could destroy a person, not just mentally, but just the fact they let you just go, like, here's the boot, and go back to the United States just for it. I know it was a clean cut, but it is wild that it was able to be a page turner and you didn't have any other baggage to deal with except for trying to get your money from your job transferred to your accounts. having that mental toughness though, because I don't think people understand how challenging that can be. And also when you address the judgment that comes with that. Because when people associate anybody who's been locked up anywhere, the first thing is we all know it's going to be negative. How
Thanks.
did you deal with rebranding yourself and putting on this is the new chapter, so to speak? Because that's not an easy task to do.
Yeah, I've always been cut like this as far as being able to handle adversity. It all started with my first love and first passion, football. I didn't start playing football till 8th grade, 13 years old. I'm from Georgia. Most cats that's been playing ball in Georgia been playing since 4 or 5 years old. So I was late to the game. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of catching up that I needed to do as far as from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, just learning the game of football. As soon as I started playing, I knew immediately that I wanted to play college football, Division I college football, and I knew I had to put some work in to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't easy. It was a process. You know what I'm saying? A lot of ups and downs, but all in all, I saw it through and I made it happen. So just dealing with adversity with football, I already knew it was preparation for, you know what I'm saying, anything that I was going to encounter in life. Now, this was something that I've never experienced before. You know what I'm saying? I've never been in this amount of trouble. And then for it to happen in a different country is even crazier. But I remember being in the first precinct. They took me in. I'm sitting there handcuffed, sitting in the chair with other recent arrests. Of course, all eyes on me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just in space and just observing everything. And I remember telling myself, man, take note of every minor detail, because it's going to be a great story to tell once you're out of this predicament. It's going to be like people is not going to believe this. The folks is not going to believe this. And it wasn't until like I got back to America. And a lot of people, I didn't even tell a lot of people I was going to China to begin with. So select few folks knew I was out there. They knew I was supposed to do a year, but majority of folks ain't know what was going on. And then for those that did know I was out there, when I came back, they thought I had been out there a whole year. They ain't even, it's only been 6 months. But that just let me know folks just in their own world. Life still goes on. So I couldn't take it I didn't take it personally or nothing like that. But that just let me know right then and there, folks ain't really paying attention to what I got going on. And anytime I encounter people, be like, oh man, I thought you was in China. Ooh. And I'm back and I tell them what happened to made me come back to America. I'm talking about the whole energy in the room shift. Like I got their undivided attention, jaws dropped, eyes wide, like they locked in on everything that's coming out my mouth. I was like, and it kept happening every time I was telling groups of people what had happened in China. So I was like, okay, yeah, I got something on my hands. How I'm going to share this to the masses, I have no clue. So when Cuz said, write the book, I was like, okay, boom, this is it. And then anybody I was hanging out with, I slotted my laptop. I was like, hey, bro, just read a few pages of this and let me know what you think. I ain't not giving no more context in that. Just read a few pages and let me know what you think. Next thing I know, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to pass. They still thumbing through the laptop. I ain't even got my laptop, but they still locked in. I was like, okay, I got something for sure. I had plenty of small indicators to let me know. I was like, this gonna go crazy. And I was like, once I got like 14 Days of Beijing, that's gonna be the title, the cover. Or we're gonna recreate the mugshot, make it. I was like, this gonna go. This gonna go. And lo and behold, it did. For sure.
And let me jump in there real quick. When you had people sample it, did they believe that, or should I say, did they believe you at first? Or did they think at first that this was a fiction story and you were just a good storyteller?
I got mixed reviews. Like some people was like, bro, I can't believe this happened to you. And some folks like, boy, you are a genius. How did you even fathom to come up with a concept like this? Da, 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 da. So it's like, hey, I took it all. I'm like, you want to think it's fictional? For sure, we can go with that. You think you say you know it's a true story? We can go with that. I'm not knocking anything, as long as y'all continue to read and talk about it. That's all I care about. Continue to talk about it. So yeah, I got mixed reviews of both. But how I wrote the story, I switched up my name. I made me like an actual character, and then everybody else was like other characters. So from that standpoint, I could see why they thought it was fictional. But like I said, the select few folks that actually knew I was out there, they know for sure that this is a legit story.
Once again, this is Am Refocused Radio. Watching us online, talking to our guest today, Chancellor K. Jackson, author of 14 Days in Beijing. Man, let's carry on with this. If someone's watching us and listening to us right now, they're like, wow, like this guy found a way to spin the whole game on self-publishing and crack the code, if you will, because not only did you write it and publish it yourself, you were able to have some success with that. And that's very difficult to do. I don't think people understand. I interview plenty of authors. The only thing I always hear is how tricky it is to get your book read. It's all right, it's not easy to get it written, but it's 10 times harder just to get people to pick it up and check it out. What was your process like learning how to self-publish, and what was your experience in reaction when you found out, wow, it's starting to catch fire?
So like I said, the idea was given to me to write the book. I didn't know how I was going to go about publishing it. Even once I started writing it, I was like, okay, I'm just focused on just getting it written and edited. I'll cross the bridge as far as publishing once I get to that point. But I'm just going to focus on this right here. I just took it step by step. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I freestyled the entire process. Another one of my good friends, he was working for Amazon at the time, and I shared him the story. He read it, a little bit of it. He was like, yeah, this is hard, bro. How you gonna publish it? I said, I have no clue. A few days later, he just stumbled across Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing site. He said, bro, I don't know what this is, but I feel like it could be beneficial to you. Check it out. You know what I'm saying? Here you go. He just tossed me that bone. And I'm just going through the site. I'm like, hold on. This is exactly how we finna do this. Okay, for sure. Self-publishing, and we're gonna be independent. Oh yeah, I don't want to no other way. Nipsey Hussle way with it. All money for sure. So once I came across that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is how we're gonna publish it. Then after that, it's really just like creating an account, submitting all the information for the book, and you know what I'm saying, having the manuscript ready, the cover, you know what I'm saying, all that, having all that set up, price points, all of that. And then boom, now it's just a waiting game. And then just far as marketing, it's a lot. COVID played a huge factor in that equation, because this is 2020. So this is right when everything went into shutdown. So people at home got nothing but idle time, you know what I'm saying, on their hands. So I wait till like the middle of the night, and I changed all my social media platforms, because I always had a pretty decent following on social media. So I changed all my platforms to fit the theme of 14 Days in Beijing. My picture, the bio, everything, for the name, everything. And of course, I just dropped the cover, you know what I'm saying, with the link, letting people know it's available for pre-order. A lot of people, and it was just, me just doing that alone, it started catching fire. You know what I'm saying? It started going crazy. And a lot of people ain't even really know what it was. You know what I'm saying? Some people knew it was a book. Some people just see me promoting something, and it's very captivating. I don't know what it is, but I see everybody else posting it, so I'm going to repost it and, you know what I'm saying, see what it is too. You know what I'm saying? People got to see your stuff 7 to 9 times before they even really tap in with it fully. But we live in a society full of followers. Fear of missing out. Nobody want to fear, oh, man, everybody else is talking about this. Hold on, let me go on over here and see what they talking about too, even though I don't even really know. I just don't want to be the oddball out. Once the book released, and you know what I'm saying, I got them tags and #1 new bestseller, this genre, another day it's a different genre, next day it's a different genre. Oh man, I'm posting all this, I'm sharing all of this. And then I started jumping to the podcast interviews to promote the book. I did billboards, reaching out to influencers on social media, book reviewers on social media, asking how much they charge for promo. I'm putting this thing in people's face. It is 2025. 14 Days in Beijing dropped 5 years ago, and I'm still talking about 14 Days in Beijing to this day. Even then, I just dropped a new book in April. It's a self-help book, The Power of Becoming. Had a successful launch with that. I was mainly got back on Podmatch just to promote that. Folks don't even want to talk about that. Guess what they want to talk about? 14 Days in Beijing. They ain't really starting the new one I just dropped. They like, oh, no, that's cool, but we won't talk about this one, 14 Days in Beijing. It's the hit maker for sure. And it's such a crazy story. It sells itself. It sells itself.
It does because before we started the interview, the first thing I said was I need to know what happened in Beijing, and you didn't like know me from anybody. Like I hopped on the camera, you hopped on the camera, and the first thing I even said to you, I gotta hear about this Beijing story. That just shows you it's something that can market itself. It sells itself, but I think storytelling is the most powerful thing human beings can ever do because you start sharing your voice on what matters in your life. That's when I believe people, all ears are open at that point. People are ready to find out, okay, what's this person got to say? Because just being a storyteller, I mean, was that on your bingo card when you're, thinking about school and football and going to China for work and coming back after this crazy story? Did you think at some point, hey, wow, I can actually be a storyteller? And the reason why I asked because you say you have other books out. So when did it click on for you that, you know what, this writer thing can be something that I can actually tap into?
Like I said, man, big shout out to DeMarco Reddings. After 14 days in Beijing, I was like, bro, I don't feel the need to write anything else. I feel like I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? I hit a home run my first time stepping up to the plate. I didn't even know what I was doing. So I was like, yeah, I was content. But DeMarco was like, nah, bro, we got to keep going. You got to write the romance. You got to get the romance written next. Because, you know what I'm saying? I talk a lot about the girlfriend I had in 14 days in Beijing at the time. So that was that was a big question I kept getting asked. Like, okay, you talk about this girlfriend all throughout the book, then you get out, what happens next? You know what I'm saying? What's up with her? We don't hear from her the entire time you're going through that situation. So what happened with that? And I just wasn't in the headspace to dive back and dig up all those emotions and stuff. Even though DeMar was like, bro, you need to write it, but you need to write it. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I ain't even trying to do it. 14 days is doing what it's doing. But it wasn't until pretty much almost a year later, I took a course on just self-publishing, just trying to fine-tune, sharpen my game up. And a part of that course, it was talking about the best-selling genres. And the number one selling genre on the top of the list was romance. And as soon as I saw that, I just thought back to DeMarco. I was like, man, cuz kept saying to write the romance. It's like, you don't win number one in multiple genres. We ain't attacked, you know what I'm saying? Romance the best seller. I just saw it as a challenge. You know what I'm saying? This field got the most writers and books in it. So we can scale this. Oh, yeah, we solidify, we stamped for sure. And it's not a lot of male romance authors out there. So I'm like, that's even more marketable. So as soon as I saw that, had that epiphany, I hit, hey, send me an outline for the romance jump. Send me the outline. I had that story written about 2.5 weeks. No care. I was locked in. And it's beautiful because all three, so you got 14 Days in Beijing, You Love and You Learn, and Real Love Never Dies. So all three books is a trilogy telling one long story. In a perfect world, You Love, You Learn is the prequel. It pretty much it touches on just me going through college and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Meeting her and then all of that. And then Real Love Never Dies brings everything full circle. It talks about me graduating, trying to find a job, can't find a job, then find a job on the other side of the world. And then, you know what I'm saying, going to China, talks about a lot of stuff I was doing prior to those 14 days. And then, of course, what took place after those 14 days when I got back to America. So it's all telling one long story. So it's just beautiful how it played out. And then dropped my fourth book in April and went to a whole different genre. We went the self-help route. You know what I'm saying? So I just surprised myself, honestly. You couldn't tell me I would be doing all of this. For sure.
It's kind of crazy how windows of opportunity leads us to where we are, because you say what you're saying and people won't get tired of me saying this. I'm sorry, guys. Throw your tomatoes because I like saying it. You remind me of how the show got started. And no, for our regular viewers, I'm not going to tell a story for the sake of being redundant. But you do. You remind me of when we first got started. Very lack of resources. But you speed up to 2025 compared to 2017. Man, blessed to have all these amazing opportunities that I can't keep track of. Like, it gets to the point where you are teaching yourself how to get 1% better every day, because now you have to maintain this platform. Like,
Facts.
it's there, the well is there, and it's heavy. And now it's just now, okay, your prayers get answered. Now you have to maintain that. What does that look for Chancellor? Like, what are you doing now to maintain the success that you've been able to experience?
So after after Real Love Never Dies, that published in 2022. I honestly was out of gas. I'm like, I ain't really got no more, because these are all true stories I've written. So I'm like, I honestly ain't been through nothing crazy enough since, at least I feel like isn't, you know what I'm saying, book worthy. But, you know what I'm saying, I've had success with what I put out. So I've had countless people, you know what I'm saying, reach out to me or come to me with questions, comments, concern about the writing and publishing process. And it surprised me how many people had aspirations or had goals or dreams of always writing a book or publishing a book or being a best-selling author. So it was like, okay, this is something people actually want to do. This is just an idea I was given. I just took it and ran with it. But it's like, I've accumulated a lot of knowledge, you know what I'm saying, with me doing that. And it's a market and a demand of people that want to do the same thing. So I'm like, okay, I personally ain't got to write, you know what I'm saying, no more stories. I can just help people. I can publish other people's stories, you know what I'm saying, still doing the same thing. But I'm still very hands-on with the process, just editing it, help you set it up, you know what I'm saying, and then, of course, help you market it on the back end. So that's when I started, okay, at that point in time, I was just working with anybody that was interested, I'm working with them. I work with countless people. I don't know, when people get the information for free, they really don't appreciate it or take it as serious, just because it was easy, it's accessible. It came to them so easy. But once I turned it into a package and started selling it, that's when I started finding solid clientele. And not only was I able to find solid clientele, I was able to help them publish their first books. And not only was I able to help them publish their first books went #1 new bestseller in multiple genres as well. So that literally it solidified it then. It's like, because the first dude, Anthony McKinney, I met him on a podcast show. We and him was both guests on. So he just heard my story, and he was compelled to share his story with me and how he wanted to turn it into a book. And his book is titled The Fatherless Child. It's about his experience growing up in rural Mississippi, how he was molested before the age of 10, and how that pretty much affected him and shaped him into who he is today. So helped him with his. I had a feeling, I was like, bro, this is because the story is powerful. He wrote the crap out of that story. Oh my goodness, it's a great read. So y'all tap in with that. So I knew it was going to do well, and it did that. And then the next client I was able to help was, at the time she wrote her book, she was 15 years old, Tanisha Sadler. By the time she published, 16. And not only did she go #1 in multiple genres, she held the spot for 9 days. 16 years old. She was still in high school. She just turned 17, I want to say, last year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I think she's in the work of turning that book into a script, a screenplay. So she's in the process of doing that. Her title of her book is called In Love. It's typical high school romance, 2 girls liking the same star football player. He messing with both of them, but they don't know about it. So, you know what I'm saying, later on. But it's still a great read, and she's still dealing with some real life stuff outside of school, you know what I'm saying, with a broken household. And it's a powerful read as well. So big shout out to those two. It was great working with them. I had a blast. Happy for the success they was able to achieve. And I also solidified, like, bro, you know what you're doing. Like, yeah, we can get you published, but we publish bestsellers. At this point, like, it's consistent at this point. So it's like, hey, we got to keep our foot on this gas. For sure.
Put that on a t-shirt, man. I'm not going to repeat what you said, because you know what you said. Not trying to get any other people ideas, but whatever you just said, put that on a t-shirt, because that will brand itself on Reels on TikTok. So, man, that's awesome. I can't believe we already passed our time, but before we sign off, if someone is listening to this right now and they got books out and they like, man, I need to hop on this Chancellor opportunity, because whatever he got, he can help me turn my book #1 and make some noise. So if someone is trying to work with you, if you're not already filled up with clients, What's the best way they can approach you?
Hey man, the best search engine we got, Google. Google Chancellor K. Jackson. Type my name in Google. Everything you need will pop up from my website, my social media accounts, books, other podcast interviews I've done, the whole nine. I'm active on all my social media accounts, so y'all can reach out to me on there. Of course, through my website, you'll be able to access my email, all of that, set up a consultation, and we can make it happen. I'm also in the works of creating courses. I got a 14-day course on, a guide on how to become a published author in 14 days, or I got a 14-week course. So it's really just about, if you want to do it fast, for sure. You want to take your time, I got that too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all tap in with your boy. We can make this happen. Yes, Lord.
Well, once again, you've been listening and watching us online. Am Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Chancellor K. Jackson, author of 14 Days in Beijing. Like you said, just type his name in Google, Chancellor K. Jackson. You see everywhere he's at and other places to be on. He's been on countless podcast shows. I've been watching what he's been doing. Like I always want to say to you, and like anybody who's on the show, thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate you, family. Big shout out to everyone that tuned into the whole episode, man. You a real one, boy. I told you from the beginning. Appreciate y'all.